The other thing, though, of course, that is considered controversial will, of course, be the topic of COVID. So I was hoping you could kind of expand on why COVID was important to the project.
Touching the third rail on COVID. I mean, that was another one that seemed to trigger a lot of reviewers. You know, they're going, wow, why would you want to, you know, you're coming across as an anti-vaxxer. And it has nothing to do with that. What it was is I wanted to tell a story, and I wanted to tell a story about a patient like my LaForest case, a young patient that died prematurely, that had a significant impact on a physician. That this happens. And if you're dealing with a 16-year-old, there's not a lot of stuff that you can come up with that you could miss. And that was the key, was what diagnosis could I come up with that a physician could miss that would cause, result in the death of a young individual prematurely because you missed the diagnosis. Right. When the COVID vaccine came out, there was this sudden burst of cardiomyopathy related that was found in young men. I mean, we're talking about thousands of % increase in the incidence of this over a very short period of time, within a year, 2 years. And it became questionable that it was associated with the COVID vaccine. Initially, it was poo-pooed like a lot of things were medically. Personally, I think the medical field lost a lot of credibility throughout that whole incident.
Right.
With the whole thing with the use of the mask and with washing your hands, and you know, it's a respiratory virus, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of their recommendations didn't make a lot of sense. And I actually subspecialized in virology when I was in college, and I published in the virology literature, and I've covered a lot of this stuff. So I was dumbfounded by some of these recommendations, suggestions that came through. But this was a true association, and it has been confirmed. There's no question about it now. You talk to any cardiologist now, and they're not going to recommend that a 16-year-old boy get the COVID vaccine. The risk of getting COVID and subsequently succumbing to it is much less than the risk of coming down with the potential of injury to the heart, cardiomyopathy.
Right.
So at the time, then, that became a really great modality for me to be able to use to have the cause of a 16-year-old young man's death and have the physician miss it. And so that was the vehicle for doing it. It has nothing to do with the COVID vaccine and and arguments about anti-vaxxers and all that stuff. It has everything to do with the presentation and what we went through as a medical community to confirm it. It was just like HIV. When I was early in my training, HIV came out of nowhere. Everybody was afraid of it. Physicians, a lot of the patients, no one would touch them. That was one of the biggest things that patients noticed, was that nobody would touch them.
Right.
HIV patients, back in that day, everybody was saying, you know, I was transmitted, so it was like, oh my God, I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Hazmat suit.
Hazmats and stuff like that. And it was, really seriously had some impact on these poor patients, you know. And
their families and people around them, and what they had experienced, very similar to with COVID, where people weren't even allowed. My family actually lost family members, and they weren't even allowed to go into the room to be with them.
Right.
And it was the imagine, what they had gone through, the emotional journey they had to go through, knowing they couldn't even be right there in that room with their loved one.
Right.
All because we didn't know for sure either way how it worked.
Right.
Even at that time, it was still questionable. And as far as the issue or the point that the reviewer was making of why would he remember this one case, well, I think you kind of put it in the script yourself that this is a unique moment and kind of an epiphany for the doctor. This is a moment where he actually has a realization about his life, and it's a life-changing realization.
Right.
So this kid is the catalyst that happened.
Right.
Things have happened before that in his life.
Of course.
But this one stands out specifically because he so blatantly missed it.
Right.
And he just changed not only a 16-year-old boy's life, but that entire family. Their entire ancestry is now changed.
Yeah.
Like the rest of their lives will not be the same as it would have been if this child had lived.
Right.
So I think it is a really important point of origin for why this movie needs to be made. You know, like you're sending a message of saying this was the catalyst, this was the point where he absolutely had to make a change in his life.
Right.
This is where he has to realize and come to terms with the fact that he has to change as a human being, and that's how he gets his full arc. He goes from the beginning, he goes through an experience, and he goes through his ending.
How do you forgive yourself?
Right.
I mean, how do you forgive yourself for making such an error?
And do it in 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes. Right.
That's the challenge, and that's why I was saying every detail that we make as a performer, and that's, you can say naivete, whatever you want to say about however certain writers are looking at it and what they're considering to be what they think is the path that the movie should take.
Right.
Where there should be more details, that there should be more specifics that's drawn in the script. But what I love about your script is that it gives the autonomy to the performer as well.
Right.
I can fill the life of this character.
Yeah. And
in 15 minutes, I can show a huge chunk of that character. And you're trusting in me to do that.
Right.
A lot of times they don't trust that. And that's why the film doesn't really go where it could, because it doesn't truly explore all those levels that the actor can find as well.
Right, right. Yeah, and there's, you know, I've gotten those, you know, well, this needs to be expanded, you need to develop this character more and that character more. But you know, film is nuance. There's all what we talk about is subtext. You know, less is more. And you can do so much in acting. And I know you all know this, by a simple gesture, by a simple look. You know, and I think that you are going to be able to know exactly how these characters feel very, very quickly. And you're not going to need a lot of backfill. You're not going to need to know, you know, what year this happened, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And is he married? And what happened to his wife? And, you know, a feature film, yes. In a short, no. In a short, we really have a goal. And the thing that's really interesting about this short is it actually has a 3-act structure. In 10 minutes, we have a 3-act structure, you know, which you rarely see in a short film.
Right, and through the actions that you see the characters take, the position of where they are, that he's in the doctor's office, all of those things kind of fill in the important information that you need to know, which is this guy is about to take a journey of exploring himself and what he's been doing and how he's been living his life, and how this is going to be an epiphany to really change that for him. And he manifests seeing this kid over and over and over, everywhere he goes, everywhere. You know, and that's his psyche just working it out, just saying this is what you have to get through.
This child's death has a permanent impact on his life.
Of course, and
he has to come to grips with it one way or the other.
Right.
That's what this.
And then I love how you tie in, you know, and you know they could say, oh, it's too predictable, it's too wishy-washy, whatever they want to say. But the fact that you tie in another human being whose life he affected already, who reflects exactly what you say in The Office, you know, that you've touched so many lives, you've helped all the people, concentrate on the people that you've helped, and then you literally have proof of that right at the end. That's what gives him the power he needs to start healing himself, which is why he takes that step and says, yes, I do want to live. Yes, I do deserve to be saved. And yes, I am going to now take this this call with you and confirm I want the appointment.
Yeah, one of the other things that's of interest, some other reviewers had commented on, well, it's a little bit too convenient, you know. Why did it take this guy, you know, 20 years or 25 years to track him down? You know, it's the internet years and stuff like that. But, you know, really, all he had to go on. This is a child. He's 15 to 20 years old when he's saved in that car accident. And all he remembers is what he was told in that brief period.
This is Arthur we're talking about.
Yes, Dr. Bronin saved him. And so he doesn't know what his first name is. All he has is this last name, doesn't know how it's spelled. So you can see that if you started working with those kinds of parameters, that it's going to take a while. And also, it's not like that's all he's doing for his life. You know, this is something he's doing on the side. You know, he has a little bit of a dream. The next day, he works a little harder on it. You know, he's trying to track this guy down. It could be anywhere in the U.S. It could be anywhere in the world, really. But he steadfastly keeps trying to find him. And he finds him.
Right. You know, and I mean, it's like such a powerful message of like how we actually manifest our world. So there's no coincidence that this Arthur will show up at the moment when Dr. Brona is finally ready to accept and receive proof that he has done good things, and that it is now up to him to forgive himself for it, to get past it, which is right in the title. So I guess brilliantly written. I'm incredibly proud to be a part of this project. Any reviewer who wants to challenge us, I welcome you to. I'm happy to reply back to you, because I've put 50 plus years of my life as an actor into this project already, and I think it's going to show.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's a take.
It's a take. Oh,
Thank
here.
you.
Let me just lay it again. Okay. Forgive me, Retribution. Out.